Ever wonder how an entire family could rise from humble beginnings to become the unofficial rulers of a republic, patrons of the Renaissance, and financiers to popes and kings? The answer isn't just shrewd politics or a love for art. It's a financial strategy that we still talk about today, one that the Medici family mastered nearly 600 years ago: diversification. Imagine Florence, Italy, in the 15th century. The air is buzzing with trade, art, and ambition. At the center of it all is the Medici Bank, founded by Giovanni de' Medici. While other banks were basically one-trick ponies, lending money and praying for repayment, Giovanni had a revolutionary idea. He saw the world not as a single bet, but as a portfolio of opportunities and risks. This is where our story of the lost art of diversification truly begins. Before the Medici, banking was incredibly risky. If a major client, like a king, defaulted on a loan, which happened all the time, the entire bank could collapse overnight. The Bardi and Peruzzi families, once the giants of Florentine banking, learned this the hard way when King Edward III of England decided not to pay his massive war debts. Their banks imploded, and their fortunes vanished. Giovanni de' Medici watched this unfold and drew a critical lesson: never put all your eggs in one basket. Instead of one massive, centralized bank, he structured the Medici Bank as a partnership of relatively independent branches. There was a branch in Rome, one in Venice, another in Geneva, and eventually London and beyond. Each branch was a separate legal entity. The managers in each city were not just employees, they were junior partners. They had skin in the game. They shared in the profits of their own branch, which incentivized them to make smart, localized decisions. But here's the genius part. If one branch failed, say the London branch made a bad bet on the English wool trade, it wouldn't bring down the entire Medici empire. The holding company in Florence and the other profitable branches would be insulated from the disaster. This was a corporate firewall, 15th century style. This structure allowed them to diversify geographically. Political turmoil in France? The branch in Venice might be booming. A trade dispute affecting Geneva? Business in Rome, handling the vast finances of the papacy, was likely still thriving. They spread their risk across different economies, political climates, and markets. It's the exact same principle a modern investor uses when they buy international stocks instead of just investing in their home country. But the Medici didn't stop at geographic diversification. They also diversified their lines of business. Yes, they were bankers, but they didn't just lend money. They were involved in currency exchange, a huge business in Europe with dozens of different coins. They financed trade, taking a cut of profits from commodities like silk, spices, and alum, a crucial mineral used in textile production. In fact, their deal for the papal monopoly on alum mines was a masterstroke. By controlling the supply of this essential resource, they created a steady, reliable stream of income that was completely separate from the risky business of lending to unpredictable nobles. They were part commodity traders, part venture capitalists, and part traditional bankers. Each business line acted as a buffer for the others. If lending was slow, the alum trade was steady. If a spice shipment was lost at sea, the profits from currency exchange could cover the loss. Think about that for a moment. Today, a financial advisor will tell you to build a portfolio with a mix of stocks, bonds, real estate, and maybe some commodities. Why? Because when stocks are down, bonds might be up. When real estate is stagnant, commodities might be soaring. The Medici were practicing this modern portfolio theory centuries before it had a name. They understood that the key to long-term wealth preservation and growth wasn't about hitting one massive home run. It was about consistently hitting singles and doubles across many different playing fields, ensuring that a strikeout in one game didn't end their season. Now, let's talk about their most famous investment, the Renaissance. When we think of Lorenzo the Magnificent, we picture him discovering a young Michelangelo or commissioning works from Botticelli. We see this as patronage. a simple act of generosity, but it was also a brilliant, albeit unconventional, form of diversification. How? Well, investing in art and culture was an investment in soft power. It built the Medici brand. Their sponsorship of art, architecture, and scholarship made Florence the cultural capital of the world and cemented their own status as sophisticated, powerful, and indispensable leaders. This prestige translated into tangible political and economic advantages. It attracted the best talent to Florence, it opened doors with foreign dignitaries, and it fostered loyalty among the Florentine people. It was a long-term investment in their own social and political stability, which in turn protected their business interests. You could even argue it was a form of marketing and public relations that paid dividends for generations. So, what are the key lessons we can take from these Renaissance bankers? First, diversify your holdings. Whether you're investing your savings or running a business, don't rely on a single source of income or a single asset. The Medici showed us that spreading investments across different geographies and industries creates a resilient financial foundation. Second, manage your risk through structure. The Medici's partnership model, with its firewalls between branches, is a powerful lesson in risk containment. In your own life, this might mean separating your personal assets from your business assets, or using different investment accounts for different goals, like retirement versus a down payment on a house. Third, think long-term and invest in your brand. The Medici's patronage of the arts wasn't just about pretty pictures. It was about building a legacy and social capital that secured their position for a century. For us, this could mean investing in our own education, our professional network, or our reputation. These soft assets often yield the most valuable long-term returns. And finally, be adaptable. The world of 15th century Europe was just as volatile and unpredictable as our world is today. The Medici thrived because they were constantly seeking new opportunities, from alum mines to new trade routes, and were willing to pivot when circumstances changed. The story of the Medici is a timeless reminder that the principles of sound financial management do not really change. Technology, markets, and politics evolve, but the wisdom of not putting all your eggs in one basket is as true today as it was in Renaissance Florence. They mastered this art, and by studying their history, we can rediscover its power for our own financial journeys. Thanks for joining us on this trip back in time. If you found this lesson from the past valuable, please hit that like button, subscribe for more stories from the history of finance, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.